But why did you lose? Tell me.
Oh, well, there was an election. They were voting. And unfortunately, after the calculations,
you were defeated. You didn't lose.
I have lost. And I want to be a gallant loser. So much as there are issues to discuss, I think those issues will be for future generations to consider.
But you saw this coming, didn't you?
Well, the answer is yes and no. The yes is because there were some interest that was foreign in the scheme of things in the Asante-Akyem, but there were interests that were also not present when they ought to have been, and there were also interests that was hostile to my candidature. I need to admit that. But all put together, there was a process, and in the process, I did not emerge victorious.
Well, but, I mean, just as you indicated, there were interests at play that were foreign and alien to the interests of Asante-Akyem North. Have those interests prevailed?
Yeah, they prevailed through the election, but I'm not sure the interests are important now that the elections are over. So, but again, I don't want to overemphasize that because I should have anticipated all that in my decision to contest the elections. Having considered all that and having arrived at a decision to contest, I think I should be fine with the results.
But which interests are those? Which interests do you describe as alien?
Oh, no, now I've told you that they were, when I say alien, it means they were not within the constituency, but exogenous interests that I know. And I'm also very much aware of even national interests that didn't expect or didn't were not interested in my candidature. So
the governmental interest, not national interest. You only confirm what Professor Jampo is saying.
Certain partisan interests.
You
say national interest. That's very ambiguous.
Where deploy state apparatus
Professor Jampo
to sponsor your defeat.
Yeah.
Because
Professor Jampo probably
you called
for
the exit and the removal of Ofori-Atta. And some people were not happy about that.
Definitely, you wouldn't imagine everybody being happy about a call for removal of a sitting finance minister. Certainly.
Yeah, but that was the right call at the time.
There were people who were interested in the fortunes of the existing finance minister also. So obviously, you will incur the wrath of such people. And I did.
Please, you have lost. So you say it as it is. And now, what are you protecting? Your Gary has poured into the sand already. So why are you trying to be diplomatic about this? Your party is now currently the most unattractive political party in the whole world. So why are you now? The MPP is the most unattractive political party in the whole world at the moment.
So I want to hear from you.
The next speaker of parliament is not going to say all those in favor say aye. He'll just say Eyezu, and the whole parliament will respond Eyeza.
Now, so Mr. Appiah-Kubi,
yes.
But you concede that your participation in this Ken Must Go campaign, in fact, your leadership in this Ken Must Go campaign cost you your seat.
Oh, not exactly.
But it contributed to.
It will be part, but it will not be the total because otherwise we would also give credit to the winner. We need to give credit to him. Actually, the confidence he had even in contesting, we need to acknowledge that. And also the effort he made also. But definitely my own shortcomings also came into play.
You agree that there was a governmental interest in your retention or defeat?
Of course, why would the government not be interested? Win or lose, the government should be interested because the government was my government, and it's my party that was in government. So if the party was not interested in my candidature at all, why would they fail me? So when they failed me,
lost out
the presumption is that they were interested in the ultimate results, and therefore you want to see the negative hands of my party or government, but I think that having endorsed my candidature, they ought to have made sure that
which they didn't.
The terrain was good and convenient and conducive.
But did they?
I didn't see that one. So I think let's not cry over spilled milk and let's move on. We'll bring lessons from the events, and then we will learn from them.
So the establishment did not support you?
Why would the establishment that did not appreciate my call support me? I didn't see any hand of the establishment favorably towards me. I didn't see.
I told you. It was not favorable towards you.
No, I didn't see establishment of me. Personally, I have been a member of Parliament simpliciter without any connection to government ever since we called for the...
He wasn't even put on the board of a community day senior high school.
Please. I did not engage you as counsel.
And there were people who were on 3 boards.
I did not engage you as counsel.
Vindictive.
No. Wait a minute.
You remember I said the example of Bafu Boni on the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Bafu Boni voted against him in the 2012 election petition. And when the Kufuor came,
thank you for your
8 years, the way he tormented Bafu Boni, at the point he said Bafu Boni should resign. I sent the Attorney General to go tell Bafu Boni to resign. They pursued him, sir.
Martin,
He's
thank you very much for your contribution, but at least Albert is listening to me.
Yes. So I'm saying you are suffering Bafu Boni's experience. Bafu Boni syndrome. I like that. It's called the Bafu Boni syndrome.
Thank you, Counsel. So the underlying issue here is that, yes, you've confirmed that the establishment didn't support you because of the stance that you took about one key person in the establishment.
In fact, I made my position known to everybody through my committee. There was a committee, and I was only just the representative of that committee. And that whatever I said about then certain finance minister was the voice of the whole group. I don't know why I'm singled out as the villain, and I was not, because I was only just communicating the decision of a group. So unfortunately, if you target and attack me for the communication or advocacy alone, what I can be guilty of is accepting to be the advocate. That's all. Beyond that, it was a decision to be communicated. Yeah. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I was the one chosen to do the communication. Yeah. And I did exactly that. So if there is any fallout at all, or targeting at all, the dividend ought to be spread through the whole group.
You're expecting that all 91 of you or so.
So if there was any people at all, and they gave us some 20 lashes, I'm sure people ought to share the spoils of it.
But this one, the lash has been given to you all 20.
By Eugene watching, he also lost.
Eugene, he lost at the primaries.
No. Eugene's case was different.
Oh, okay.
He lost at the primaries, but Eugene could have survived the primaries but for the extent of support given against his candidacy.
So it was just how to punish them.
Incidentally,
but history will judge you, right? Posterity will judge you.
You understand what I meant by the party?
But I made some recommendations to be made in our selection process. If it is not addressed, the selection process, if it's not addressed, we will continue to suffer some of this pain. And you see, the influence of money in the selection process is also another matter. And it gets to a time that you a single person, your arm is not as strong as the arm of the state, for example, if the state is pursuing you. And let us also not forget that even in governments prefer certain candidates to others. It happens. Yeah. So if I'm an unfortunate victim of such circumstances, I think I need to rethink of the political landscape and my personal participation. And indeed, I would want us to regerminate the seed of MPP and grow it. I don't want to be party to people who want to destroy it. I have suffered for myself, I don't mind, but let us make sure that the right things are done in the party so that we can bring the party back to where it belongs.
You don't want to be part of people who want to destroy the party?
No.
Why? There are people in there who want to destroy MPP?
But where we have reached, having waited, destroyed enough, but I don't want us to continue to destroy. I want us to build a watershed and think of coming back as a party. But the infighting, the greed, selfishness, arrogance, and all that brought us here, we need to begin to learn from our mistakes. Look, there are times when you, a member of parliament, will call your colleague minister and he will not pick your call. Not even listen to what you are going through or what you want to share. You see, and certain persons, when they got appointed, they became demigods, untouchables. You won't listen to their own deputy ministers. They won't listen to them. Can you imagine? And they forget that all of us go about hunting for the power. And when we go hunting for power and we get the power, people become too powerful for the people who procure the power. And therefore will not even listen to them. And it goes up to, I don't blame the ministers because the same attitude was shown to us by the president. When we wanted to share our views with him on what our constituents were telling us.
About Ofori-Atta.
Yes, he won't listen to us.
He didn't listen to you.
He would not listen to us. So if our ministers were not picking our calls, then how would you blame them? Because it's the same attitude transcending the whole
presidency.
Yeah, from the whole political spectrum. And some of our ministers were too arrogant, too pompous in office. Wouldn't pick calls from me. In fact, on our platforms, I kept bashing some of them because I thought that they were behaving, untowardly towards colleague members of parliament and, of course, members of government.
Some of the city ministers were arrogant.
Very.
Very arrogant.
Very, very, very. Very arrogant.
So you agree that arrogance of power cost you?
Well, it is part. You see, when you show disrespect to the ant has a way of responding back to you. Yes, you think that the ant is very feeble, you can just destroy it, but when you show him the ant their disrespect, when you sleep, it will go under your mattress, and you see what will happen to you. You may be the greatest person on earth, but we all have our limitations. So if you don't show respect to the vulnerable, when they regroup, they are dangerous. And this is what will happen.
Greed and selfishness.
Yes.
On the part of who?
Listen, when you are in office and you want to, you have access to projects, even developments, funding, you need to think equitably and look at the whole country for yourself. You are a minister who will be in charge of a project and will want to plant all the projects in his constituency. What is that? Forgetting that his constituency alone cannot give you the power that you enjoy. So if you plant all projects in your constituency, know that the next constituency will vote against you. So it will negate the so-called gain that you have because you have planted.
There was no one in the government at the presidency to call that minister to order, to tell that minister that you cannot.
Yes, going forward. Going forward. Let them learn from the experiences that we have. That, but I know Julius is a fine guy. He's my friend. I know that he will not preside over a situation where people will just take all and leave others. You see, in Ashanti region, you go to one constituency, for example, you will see total lighting. You slip into the next constituency, total darkness. What is the story? You are telling the constituents there that your MP is not a good person. But you forget that when that MP loses, it will also negate your gains in your constituency. And sometimes, out of anger, people even in your constituency will sympathize with the losing MP and just not also perform for you. So it's important for us to be brothers keepers even when we have power and authority. So that's the lesson that we need to learn. You see, when we were commissioning interchanges in Greater Accra, with a presumption that will influence voting parties in Greater Accra.
That was
forgetting the fact that the only interchange that President Kufuor had started had not been improved upon from the time that President Kufuor left office. Then the interchange fever jumped Kumasi and reached Tamale. Well, well and good, they also need some. But they forget that when you need to eat, it's your mother that you go to. So when you are resourceful, you need to look after your mother. So the vote from Ashanti region was a protest vote against that. Well, you may not like us, but as long as you use our equipment, look after us so that you can continue to use our equipment. It is not about loving us or not loving us. It's about what you need to sustain yourself. So if the votes in the Ashanti region is what you need to sustain ourselves in power, make sure that Ashanti region is important also in your distribution.
I see. So
even yesterday I was blaming the Ashanti Regional Caucus in Parliament that we didn't do enough. In fact, we should be more aggressive towards our distributing ministers than we did, because personally, I was not happy the way the whole region was featured in the scheme of things, particularly in distribution of projects. So the display of affluence in Greater Accra was causing pain in the Ashanti region.
So when you heard the party say they are targeting 85% in the Ashanti region, how did that
They are targeting. Yeah, the target, you are not wrong if you target high, but you may be wrong if you don't do the right thing to get to your target. You see, so targeting anybody at all can target, but the deliverables will not equate the targets if you don't perform. Sitting here, I can target getting out of here, going to a restaurant to eat, but it depends on your pocket. If you get there, your pocket will not allow you to open the door.
Any idiot can target. Say it.
No. You see, my mouth cannot accommodate profane.
All right. Any idiot can target. Stop it. It's not
profane. There's nothing
I'm
profane
not
about
used to
it.
profanity.
Idiot is a great word.
It's not profane.
It means somebody who does not participate
See,
in politics.
the only listen. The only
Any idiot can target.
The only situation I disagree with my friend Honorable Sedun Ketia is that idiots don't go to court because the processes require some level of intellectual capacity to be able to file a process. So once the person conforms to the rules of court and files a process, you are no more an idiot. Martin, alike. So when he says any idiot can go to court, I say please. The court platform is not for idiocy.
Thank you, and I'll come to you. So
you're saying this, just one comment. They say the person Appiah-Kubi doesn't want to talk about is Appiah-Kubi when it comes to the roads.
Somebody said
the minister for roads. But he didn't
he's a
give
former
you roads.
minister.
Former minister for roads. He didn't give you roads in your constituency.
Well, he was a minister and he presided over the distribution. I'm not sure he had a free hand to do what he wanted to do. So he was a fine man. At least one thing I'll give to Honorable Appiah was that he always showed respect to his colleague MPs who came to visit. But whether you were going to get what you wanted was another matter.
He had the finest language to welcome you.
Yes, to welcome you.
But will make you all the promises in the world.
Typical politician.
But the fulfillment of those promises is a different subject.
I remember I met you once in his office.
You met me in his office once.
We were both chasing
roads.
Projects.
Yes.
And, he got us in.
I'm happy you raised this because, there are people who say, Sam George was banned from any development because he was always insulting NPP.
Why is this accountability?
Let's give to him.
Appiah-Kubi will always welcome
Let's
him
give
to
to
his
him
office.
what he deserves. Okay. He was so polite to his colleague members of parliament.
We all called him Wafa.
And then let us, the other ministers who are coming, also learn from him at least that trait of showing respect to colleague ministers. He was so respectful towards us, except that he couldn't deliver most of the promises, as my friend is saying. But let's also investigate.
But delivered for Chebi. Ekufuado's hometown. Go and
He's about to make the president investigate why he couldn't deliver.
Yes.
All the roads in Chebi.
What is left for us to do is that let's investigate why and how he couldn't even deliver on the promises he gave us. Okay. I think that But who are you? If the president says do my road, who are you to say I won't do it?
Well, you have diagnosed your own defeat, and in fact, the party's poor showing, shambolic, somebody has described it, in this election. You say disrespect, right?
My sympathies go to Dr. Bawumia, though, because some of the time he was paralyzed.
Was paralyzed?
Yes. Listen to me. We came into office in 2017. 2017, Dr. Bawumia was behind Ofori-Atta in the presentation of the budget. Mm-hmm. And indeed, they were even conferring when questions were being packaged by my colleagues on the other side. They were conferring, knowing that he was sharing information with him. 2018, he was there. And indeed, he came to the motion to discuss the budget. He was there and contributed. 2019 too. 2020, we didn't see Dr. Bawumia. So I asked questions in our caucus meeting, and the questions didn't bring me the required answers. 2021, the man didn't come again.
The expansionary year, Bank of Ghana said that year, we were doing expansionary spending.
And then, so on the private meeting, I asked, Doc, we are discussing the budget. We haven't seen your hand in it. And he laughed. You see, he's that kind of person who will take the pain and will not respond to it. He's that type of person.
That's not good.
That's not good. Yeah. He was keeping too much of the head inside.
So he was hurt.
Oh, you could see from him, his face, me, my friend, me when I see something, I talk about it. He's always smiling, but behind, if you look through his eyes, you will see the pain behind the smiling. Oh. So 2023 too, he didn't come. And I'm very sure that he wasn't going to come 2024. But again, so all this, what I can say is that, in fact, part of the reason that we said he must go was that Ken was not responding to advice from even the economic management team. Dr. Bawumia was supposed to be chairing the committee. Mm-hmm. How many times would they call? And I know for a fact that the doctor would have to go to Minister of Finance in his ministerial office instead of the Vice President inviting him. He grew too pompous for his own good.
Of arrogance.
How?
You see, so when you have a system that has turned upside down like that, you don't expect that system to generate the required results. You see? So, but let me commend Dr. Bawumia too for the patience he had. I wouldn't have survived that kind of treatment. And a whole sitting vice president would have to respond to a call by a minister of state. But the man was too powerful. So if you won't go, you won't get what you want.
You see, Ofori-Atta was powerful than Bawumia.
Too powerful than even the president. President would tell him to go and do this. He would say, no, that lie, it won't happen.
Ofori-Atta was powerful than the president.
He came to our meeting and said that I procured this victory for us. That was the first time I stood up and said, my friend, what are you saying? Excellent. I didn't see your hand in Asante Achim North.
Excellent.
So if you help people, procure victory, I didn't see you in Asante Achim North. It cannot be a case that you, as a singular person, procure victory for everybody.
He said that.
And then he sat back. And and that was the beginning of my advocacy. And that was the beginning of my selection as a spokesperson for the group.
So the system turned upside down, disrespect, greed, selfish, arrogance of power. Council?
Yes.
Yes, but talk about also the accommodating nature of Dr. Bawumia.
Okay. And accommodating
we don't need that. Well, you see, Aka fought Rollins. One time, they fought. We don't need that. In a democracy, you have to stand up and fight.
But what we will also say is that let them not treat or those of us who vent it out as the devils.
Villains and
because if they had listened to us at the time that we saw what was happening, and indeed, let us commend also different groups of people. The clergy, many times.
Hey, Nyansafwe,
Let me also acknowledge the contribution of the Council of State, the chairman of Council of State. He called us. He had meetings with us. Let's acknowledge that.
They were encouraging the bad things. This thing they say meetings.
You've made your point.
We're encouraging bad governance.